Right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right.
Oh, EVMux, this platform is frustrating. Okay, so we are, as Kaufman's like talking to himself for 10 minutes. Okay, we're gonna do 3 writing sprints today, and you guys are just gonna have to lip read what I said. So we'll do 3 writing sprints. Let's get into it, and let's start off at the top of the stream. Okay, so 3 writing sprints, and the first one will be 25 minutes, and we'll see what we can get into. All right, so you see I'm already all started on my end. Make sure to stick around. We'll chat on the break and see what is on everyone's mind. I have some new playlists, some new music for you, and we will see what is up. Okay, so with that being said, let's see what the new music sounds like. We'll give it a go. I got 25 minutes on the clock. Come join us because it's time to write now. All right. Writing sprint done. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I'm feeling pretty happy about that writing sprint. I feel like I was able to get some solid work on where I'm at with Scarecrow right now. So I was very happy about that. How did it come for you guys? Were you able to get hopefully some progress on your end? I was like, make sure I mess around with my stuff here. Awesome. So yeah, so I feel pretty good about where I'm at today. I wasn't sure if I was going to start getting I wasn't sure if I might get kind of like a little off for the sprint because like I mean I guess I did write a little bit over the weekend and I mean I definitely got some writing in over while I was traveling, but I realized because I was kind of reworking parts of I went back and I was working on revising the beginning sections because I need to make sure that chapter 1 is as good as possible. And I know that last week we were kind of talking about prologues and I was thinking about how I wanted to set up Scarecrow. And I think I decided that the alternative to a prologue is I'm going to start with the song. I think that's how I'm going to deliver on the tone promise. 1-page song. I think that's a very easy intro for readers who want to read it. I think it gives a very clear state of the world. Um, I used a variation of the song in the Gardens chapter when I was working on it, and I think I've adjusted and tweaked it furthermore, I think, to better match the world, the story, while giving a clearer understanding. So I think that's how I'm probably going to start Scarecrow off, and I think that'll make it a little clearer for the tone promise of the series. So I'm very happy about that. All right. Hey, what's up, Lillian? Welcome, welcome, my friend. Mary, nice. You're able to get 100 words in. I I feel pretty good about where I'm at. I'd love to hear for all you guys just hopping in. Have you guys been able to get any writing in today? How are you guys on your writing progress? Like I was starting to say when I was muted. I Mondays are always such a great day to be able to goal set and figure out what is your writing routine, what is your strategy, what is the vibe going to look like this week. Are you going to try to aim for 1, 2, 3 writing sprints? Even if your writing consistency and vibe is like, hey, I'm just going to show up and go write with Kaufman on some of the Right Now streams like Wednesday and Friday, right? On things like that. So I think that can definitely be a good strategy. The part of it is just being intentional, right? Or for some of you guys who come and hang out with me daily, all right, I'm writing every day regardless. Let's see. While we're doing that, I guess I can pull up the schedule. I was like, pull that out. I'll pull out the stream schedule for the week. So anybody who's not a newsletter subscriber, so you guys can see what the stream schedule looks like this week. Let's see. Let me pull it out. And yes, so where I'm at, April 7th. Okay. All right, here we go. So for anybody who is not a newsletter subscriber, you wouldn't have seen this yet, but this is the Right Now stream schedule for the week. This is what we got going on. So streams the timings are a little more over the place. Obviously, Wednesday we have a Right Now writers group. So for those of you guys who are going to come write with us for the first full week of April, you definitely should. And then this Saturday is going to be the next live interview for the Read Now book club. So anybody who is interested in our April book, which is Mythic, Shadow of the Spark for Science Fiction Month, we're going to be interviewing Adrian Santiago and about his process behind Mythic and developing it. So this Saturday will be a great interview. And then Sunday for the Create Right Now podcast, we're going to be talking about, I've invited author J.M. Frey, and we're going to be talking about a unique strategy that surrounds fan fiction. So we're going to be doing an episode about fan fiction for this Create Right Now podcast episode this coming Sunday. So I'm very much looking forward to what we got booked for the week. Woo! I love it. Always got fun stuff going on. All right, so I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. Hey, what's up, Nicole? I saw you hop into the stream. Welcome, welcome. Always love other writer friends. Nicole, I would love to hear what type of writing are you working on? You doing working on anything fun right now? Lillian, yes, 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 yes. Nice, Courtney. You're still figuring out how to restructure chapter 9 and removing the time jump. Yeah, time jumps are always an interesting one. When I think about time jumps, and writers do time jumps all the time, I think when you do a time jump, sometimes based on the story, you have a chance of pulling the reader out of the story, and unless time jumps are built into it and readers understand that it's structurally a part of the story and you do it like every single chapter, like it's a thing. But if it's not part of the story and you're writing and then it randomly happens one time, you can get away with it. But the more times you do it and it's not part of what you're promising to the reading experience, the more you have a chance of pulling it out, because the readers read and they're like, I want to know what happens next. But if what happens next is the characters walking to the store and nothing happens, then of course you wouldn't want to write about that. So time jumps are always an interesting one. Marta, congrats, my friend. Nice. Sounds like you're making some really good progress with your stuff, Marta. I know it looks like you're working on your anthology and then, of course, Destiny, which absolutely a great read. Highly, highly recommend. Yeah. Thanks so much, Lillian. Yeah, definitely looking forward to Saturday's interview with Adrian. And Adrian, I think he said that he's already in the days since we launched it with the Read Now Book Club. He has launched. He got over 100 issues, or he got over 100 downloads, because it's free to download on Amazon. So anyone who wants to read the April book of the month with us, we should, because it's absolutely free. So it's a great way to be involved if you want to come join us for the Read Now Book Club. Dragons. You're like, I hate how slow YouTube is to show the chat. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I think there is like a 10 to 15 second delay. I believe. I think there's a 10 to 15 second delay from when you type it in and then it shows up in the YouTube chat. And then I think there's an additional 5 seconds when it shows up too on here on screen. Yes. So just a reality of live streaming. So it happens. Courtney with the time job. My advice was try to remove it. Yeah, and I mean that sounds about right. I mean, like, unless it's something that like it has to be there, and like you can get away with it, right? Like the thing is, I'm sure there's a way where you're able to make it work. But unless it's like necessary, like if you're like, this has to be the time jump because this is the only way to do this, and the story's gonna suck otherwise, stick to your guns, Courtney. But if there is a way to work through it without going through such a time jump, then try to make it happen. I think I remember that part of the story that you're trying to time jump. If you're struggling with it, Courtney, you're always welcome to message me. I'm always happy to talk through it. Absolutely. I know whenever I do editing projects, a lot of times my the clients, right, writers end up with like 30, 40, 50 pages of notes. And I'm like, yes, I remember all the things. But then I have to think there's like, yeah, but sometimes when taking notes from an editor, it's like, okay, well, what things do I fix? What things do I feel like I got to stay true to my guns? And I think it's trying to find that balance that feels right. Nice, Nicole. You're like, I'm happily taking a small break. We're still riding the high from hitting #1 on Amazon with the Beltane anthology. Nicole, that is so exciting. That is so, so exciting. Take some time to breathe before marketing my own next book. For everyone who doesn't know, Nicole was responsible for putting together this whole anthology. I know a number of our writers in the community submitted to be part of the anthology about Beltane. Really, really cool. It is, and it sounds like was hitting #1 on Amazon, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's see, if I had the link handy, I would just drop it. Let me see if I can find it. Amazon Beltane anthology. Let me see if it just popped up on a quick Google search. Dang, Nicole, nice. I just Googled it and it popped up #1 on Google. Nice. Really, really nice work, my friend. Let me drop it here. And like, guys, we have a lot of writers here in the community who made it into the anthology. I'm going to drop the link here. Go support the writers. The anthologies are such a great way. Here we go. Beltane anthology link. So definitely a great way if you want to go check out stories from other writers in the community. I just dropped the anthology link down in the chat. We had a number of writers in our community, the Right Now community, and then a lot of author tubers as well. So definitely recognize a lot of the names. So very, very cool. Marta, I respond to everybody on social media, but because I get such a high message rate sometimes, my the response time is what's limited. And then especially on Facebook, like I feel like there's so many bots on Facebook. So then it's always trying to balance like, okay, well, who is a bot and who's a real person? I was like, I don't need to have conversations with bots. It's kind of annoying. Nice. Dragons. You're doing some quest guide writing. Totally understand. That's like a great way to make like a little extra money too with writing like guides. That's really, really cool. All right, my friends. So on that note, we're going to hop into our second writing sprint. And if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. We're here every day with the Right Now community. 460 consecutive streams and counting. Wow. I wonder if we'll be able to get to 2 years. What would 2 years look like? 700? Oh, man. So 460 consecutive streams. If you're looking for writers of all genres, of all skill levels, if you're looking for a daily writing community, we offer the Read Now Book Club. We offer these writing sprint streams generally during the week, our weekly writers group. We have our critique streams on the weekends. We have the podcast. We have our upcoming Fated Fantasy Fiction Contest. More details coming next week, my friends, and much, much more. So if you need that consistency, that accountability, that place to just write, then make sure to tap that follow or subscribe button. Or if you're already subscribed, tap that share button right now. All right, my friends. So on that note, let's up it. So writing sprint number 2. Let's go. Let's add 10 minutes onto it. I really want to finish this chapter. I've like been on this chapter for half a week. I want to finish this chapter. I'm feeling good about it. Okay, so we're gonna do the second sprint at 35 minutes. Awesome, and I think I am ready. So whether you are brainstorming, writing, editing, working on author branding, publishing, or maybe you're just taking a break and you're just coming to hang out with the music and chill with other writers, that's all part of the vibe. Come join us because it's time to right now. All right, and writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Wow. Woof. I am feeling so good about that. I'm like literally almost at the end of this chapter. Almost. Getting to that very, very end. Wow. I'm actually pretty happy how this chapter turned out. Um, I don't like that one. I want the opposite. Where'd my cell with the timer go? There we go. There was the right vibe. So that one. So I'm pretty happy how that turned out. Let's see. I would say okay. So yeah, I'm pretty happy how that turned out. I would say that I was able to make some good progress on my end with Scarecrow. I definitely feel like I'll be able to finish this last chapter on the last on this last sprint. So, and it's interesting because, like I said, this is the first one of the first, not the one of the first. Yeah, I mean, it is a POV chapter that is not in the protagonist's POV, right? So the majority of the story has been in Scarecrow's POV so far. This is the first full non-Scarecrow POV chapter where we get Pebble, and I feel like we've accomplished a lot. In Pebble's POV chapter, we've had her struggling with her sanity with her doll. We've had her nearly die by smacking into the canyon floor, meeting these dragonkin, of which she experienced flying, of which she has forgotten what it felt like to fly, considering she doesn't remember how to. So we saw a slight interesting shift there. And now we're seeing a deal be made. We're seeing other creatures outside the creature Scarecrow's encountered. So we're seeing a much different dynamic because Scarecrow has a very naive outlook on the world. Pebble is not so much. And I think getting Pebble's interiority creates a really interesting contrast for this part of the book. So I'm very, very happy with what I'm doing. How did you guys do? Were you able to make any progress on your end? I know, Courtney, you got 593 that time. Woo! Bazinga. Sounds like you are making some awesome progress. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hey, welcome, John. You're like, Jared, I sent you a DM. Thank you so much for the heads up, my friend. Thank you. I will check out the DMs at some point. It's interesting because, like I said, Facebook, I get spammed with so many bots and so many advertising. So many things for like advertising book services. So I'll just tell you right now, John, if it's an advertisement for a book service, I'm just not interested. But thank you. All right. So I feel really good about what I am doing. I'm like kind of thinking through. So I should be able to finish up this chapter. And then next, oh wow. Because then the next POV chapter is Crow, which is really the first Crow POV chapter. Interesting, and especially since I've made the adjustments to his character, I'm really going to want to play around with how different it is stylistically from yeah, I'm definitely going to have to make some adjustments in revising it so it continues to match how his character's evolved since the first draft. Since we know the eccentric Mr. Crow is quite a handful. So yeah, I mean these are the two main POV chapters outside of Scarecrow, and then I think then I want to say then that the following chapters that encompass the rest of this story arc leading to the midpoint starts alternating as we get closer and closer and more things happen. So man, I love this part of the story. I'm probably going to have to take a pause after the Crow chapter and clarify what are all the animals that I want involved in this part of the story. Oh man, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to make continue to like refine my list and make sure that all the animals I have are actually good, the animals I want. Because in the rough draft, right? So we're about to head to the Coliseum of the Last, where basically Scarecrow's been captured, along where he's met Gore, the Grizzly, and they're basically put in a fight to the death with a lot of other animals. In the ref draft, I picked a lot of random ones. Since then, I've been doing a lot of research. I've been asking friends, and I really want all the animal species that are in this part of the Colosseum story to really represent as many parts of as many different varieties of the animal kingdom as possible. So, but in a way that's unique, right? I really want to be able to have a lot of different animals, but then be able to put my spin or twist on how are these animals actually able to survive in such a post-apocalyptic, dismal world as the Lands of the Last. So, woo, Atomic. Atomic. I can help you make $1 bazillion. Please insert your credit card here. I know, Atomic. It cracks me up. Oh man, but you know what? Sometimes we get some good writers through Facebook. So you never know, right? I always try to be open to where people are coming from. But you know what? That is the vibe. So with that on my mind, let's see. Our next writing sprint, I'll probably, let's see, 525, probably do 45 minutes for the last writing sprint because I'm feeling on fire for writing sprint number 2 of 3. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good for this third writing sprint. And as we're getting into the third writing sprint, if you have not signed up for the Art of Writing newsletter, this is my weekly, monthly newsletter experience that will help deliver writing tips, techniques, and articles directly to your mailbox. Also, you'll get access to the weekly Right Now schedule, so that way you know what streams are going to happen before they get posted on socials. You also get announcements for our events and other things that are coming up with the Right Now community. So make sure to subscribe. If you're here on YouTube, it's linked down below. Otherwise, I'll drop this into the chat so you can subscribe to the Art of Writing today. All right, so that brings us to the end of this writing break. Let's get into it. Let's end off our writing session strong. I believe in us. 45 minutes. I think we're going to be able to make some progress. I feel pretty good. I'm going to finish the chapter and let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see. Let's see what we got, my friends. So, on that note, we got 45 minutes on the clock. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, editing, author branding, or anything else, come join us because it's time to write now. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Were you able to make any progress in your storytelling that time? How did it go? We got 3 writing sprints, and I felt like we got some really solid progress in. Like, drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Let's see. How did I do? So I was able to finish up my chapter that I was working on. Luckily, I think I was on that one for about 3/4 of a week. I seem to be going about a chapter a week, seems to be what I'm averaging. I would like to get 2 chapters a week, but that seems to be what my average is, considering even with that I tend to be work on them throughout the weekdays and not the weekend as much. So let's see what we got. I'm just checking my word count. How far was I able to get? So I'm pretty happy with the revised Pebble and Dragonkin chapter. All right, so I think I got roughly, looks like about 900, give or take. So I got about 900. Had to rewrote the last section of that chapter to match to match where the story needs to be. Nice, Courtney. Sounds like you got some solid progress as well, my friend. You got 956. It's awesome. I think I got like about 900 throughout 3 sprints. But I also actually got planning for the next chapter too, which the next chapter for me is the first true Mr. Crow POV chapter. So who doesn't want to follow our eccentric Mr. Crow? Atomic. Like, that was an amazing sprint. I was using my random words technique and started a lovely little tale. I love that. I absolutely love that, my friend. It's always cool to hear when we're able to make a little bit of writing progress on the side. I'm glad that was able to prove some inspiration, my friend. Nice, Mary. Like, up to 16,140. It's coming along. Wow. That is incredible. Sounds like we've all made a little bit of solid progress. I'm so happy to hear that. As we look towards creative writing on the morrow, I'll be back tomorrow for another daily writing stream. At what time did I put? Why did I delete that? All right, I gotta go re-pull up the schedule. So I'll be back tomorrow. Let's see, week of April 7th. That's right, for a slightly earlier stream. So we'll be back at 12:30 p.m. Pacific, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll be here. Come join us because we will be trying to get some writing in. We got some fun stuff lined up this week. And on your way out, if you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button. Help us show the algorithm that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, it's been great. It's been real. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers.
Right now.
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 Because it's time